All right, welcome everyone. We got another very special guest on the podcast. It is Alex, also known as Convolk, number 119, off and running. Alex, how are you?
I'm all right, man. How are you, Jeff?
Good. I'm good. I feel good as you can. It's been a crazy time in our world. We'll just leave it at that. So
I'm all right.
let's dive into it, man. What's going on? Tell us who you are. I got a poker podcast. Generally, you're in the music space. You play a bit of poker, but tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll kind of run through everything.
I guess I'm just a guy. I make music. I guess that's like primarily what I'm known for. But yeah, I'm a big fan of poker. An old friend showed me it like a year and a half ago, and a little less than that. And ever since then, I've just been hooked, and I've been really lucky enough to have some people, I guess, within the poker world listen to my music, and then that's given me kind of access to players and people and experiences that I guess I otherwise wouldn't be. So I'm very grateful and lucky, I guess, to just meet these people so quick.
Very cool. Yeah, I know you do dabble. And I think you've done some work with Jeff Bosky or Boski, a few others. Have you played with them or they've coached you? What's been the
No, actually, I haven't been coached by. Well, I'll get into that for sure, but no, just Boski, Jeff Boski. He's I just love the guy. I liked his vlogs a lot, and I just hit him up, and I'm like, hey man, whenever we're in Vegas at the same time, like, let's just hang out. And the plan, I guess, was to play some poker, just some no limit hold'em, but. We ended up just like kind of hanging out, like eating in and out, driving around in his Tesla, and not playing poker. So, which was actually completely fine. And I think he's a super solid guy. I really enjoy being around him, and yeah, I like Boski. I got to hang out with Brad Owen and Poppy GTO, Joe Ingram, and they're all just really nice guys who are super good at poker. And ironically, we never really get to talking about in depth with poker stuff, but I kind of I don't prod the issue. I
right?
just let the conversations flow as they will.
For sure. Well, I think that's one of those things where, it's probably the same for you. And when you come on podcasts, of course, that's what we're doing. But, when you're around or you go to dinner or with people or new people, I think it's kind of fascinating what you do. And people, I feel like that about poker, right? Because it's just a different world. It's not the normal. And you kind of fit in that category of what you do for a living is not, most people aren't musicians, artists,
Right.
professional poker players. So I guess, could you explain a little bit what it's like? Because I think it's fascinating, especially now the music industry is changing from what I can tell a lot. There's Spotify, there's downloads, whether people have managers, you're doing concert tours, and of course, COVID and how that impacts it. But tell me a little bit about, look at, how many downloads, pretty crazy. You have over 1 million monthly listeners and, 43 or something, I saw million downloads or more, maybe at 400 million. I forget. It's some crazy numbers going on that you're doing. And explain to me how that works. So like break it down.
Um,
What do you do? How do you live? How does someone who's talented that has all these subscribers monetize? Tell me the process. Like, what's going on? How does it work for you?
sure. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, I guess I will make music and then just upload it. And over the years, I've developed a pretty, I wouldn't say large, but I would say very committed fan base
Mm-hmm.
who really, I wouldn't be here, without the people that listen to me, and they're very ardent listeners, and I'm super, just very blessed to have these people, and they like my music and they listen to it. That's basically it. It's really simple. I mean, now without you don't need a record label or a contract to succeed in the music industry anymore.
Right.
And in fact, I would say that a lot of times those things are hindrances, right? Because for every Post Malone or Weekend, right, you're gonna have hundreds of artists that they drop one project, it doesn't do well, and then they're just canned forever. Also, if there's background noise, I'm sorry, there's construction going on. I don't have control over it. I apologize.
No worries.
But yeah, man, I basically I'm very fortunate to be able to just like make something that I enjoy and then release it. But I will say the first few years of trying to make music were very hard. And I didn't see a single penny from it, but it's never really been about money. I mean, if you play poker, yeah, it's about money, right? I mean, obviously, but if you make music, I mean, if it's about the money, you're probably never going to get anywhere. And if you do, it's probably not going to be very good. That's just my opinion personally. But
I mean, And for, again, I'm not an expert and just, I don't know like the conversion and how to calibrate it, but just looking at, I would say, yeah, you have a very successful channel, you have followers, you have people downloading. I don't know the metrics on per download and the money, but it seems similar to Twitch. And like you're saying, kind of cool with Twitch and poker is you don't have to be a sponsored player. You can create your own thing. You can get your own affiliate deals. You can work hard, push, create something. And that seems like what it's basically like now with what I'm seeing. It's like you're saying, you start out, if you're passionate, you have some talent, you got determination, you're able to create and start. You don't need all the, like you look at the old sponsored players like Negreanu, guys that have been around forever, having deals and ambassadorship. There's those guys, but then like now with Twitch, you can kind of just go for it. And if at some point you maybe get picked up or hit that next level, but you can actually make a living, create revenue, and be passionate and build something on your own without all the, needing to just be at that right place, right time. It's like kind of a new right place, right time and what's available. So I guess my next question is, how did you get into it? What made you decide to take your passion and try to make a living and move forward with it?
I guess that just like, my music had always been something that I kind of used as a refuge. I had a pretty turbulent, like tumultuous childhood. And I realized once I was older that music was one of the only constants in my life, one of the only things that I could consistently go to alleviate whatever, thoughts or issues I might have been having. And the internet rap scene kind of was at this really odd burgeoning point in 2014, 2015, 2016. And I was observing all of it and I really loved it. I was just really in love with this kind of this underground scene that was a bunch of really talented young guys and a few girls who were all making really great stuff that was kind of pivotal in the development of music itself, actually, now that we're here in 2020 and I can look back. And anyway, I saw this and I kind of asked myself the question, if I like this so much and I've always liked music in general and it's always been a part of my life, why don't I try making it? And the first few things I made sucked. And for the first 2 years, I didn't see a single penny from music. But I was just in love with it and I was in love with doing something, because my whole life I'd never really, sat down and done anything that I liked. You know what I mean? I had done fine in school and fine and whatever else, but I never really had a passion. And I guess I just got really lucky. And the first thing I tried, I just found it. I really, really, really loved the process and just kind of the struggle. There's an element of struggling. It's the same thing with like studying poker. There's an element of, it's almost enjoyable to take those really shitty losing sessions once you're off tilt to reflect on them and be like, yeah, man, I gotta just crush it now. So that's kind of how I kind of approached music, and it worked out. So
yeah, no, I really do see a lot of similarities with Twitch and sort of grinding and poker and putting the work in and effort, and it's not for everyone, right? And it is part of the fun is that early process. Like I remember playing 1-2 and going to casinos and playing 18 36-hour sessions and immersed in the grind, and really like that period where it's like, all right, I don't have a house, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not here. It's like, all right, it's like I'm really pushing for life, right? Like for pushing to like be able to do something that I love.
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
that's powerful. And I think again, it's not always necessarily the end result, right? Like you could have done that for a couple of years and gone and done whatever else you would be doing, and you still have those memories and know you tried, know you put your effort in, know you created something, you have some videos, you have some memories, you have some, it's a period of your life. Like obviously the fact that you're doing it and you're successful and all that, it's great. But I think, I think the people, there's no guarantees, right? How people respond, that you'll get to this point. Looking where you are now, are you surprised? Like, wow, like, I was just doing this for fun. I had a couple followers and people said they liked it. Like, is it kind of cool to look up and like, I have millions of downloads and millions of people are listening to what I do? 44 million on one track here. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cool to look at it, but I wouldn't say I'm surprised, because, not to be arrogant, but I always did think once I did get good at it, right? I didn't start off good at it, right? Some people are naturally good at things, and I'm certainly not one of those people. So, I did eventually, after those, first 2 years of just being not very good at it, I I got good, you know, and I had a lot of confidence in myself, and I worked really hard at the, you know, at the time, just like grinding and doing the whole, you know, social interaction for, you know, whatever thing, which I don't really like. And I'm really grateful that now, again, I can be in this position where I don't have to do all of that, like the social climbing shit, you know. I've never really been into that, but it's kind of a necessity to make it in any field if you want to be, you know, somebody. So, you know, yeah, I'm not surprised, but I'm super happy, and it is super unreal in a way, right? It still hasn't kind of, you know, hit me in a sense, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm super surprised. I mean, you know, are you surprised that you've made, you know, people's like 4 times people's salary in like yearly salary playing a tournament? It's like, no, you know, you'd be surprised if it was the first time you ever played poker, but you know, you put in 10 years of your life into a moment, and then it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm happy, I'm glad I won my flips, you know, but I'm not surprised that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at that and kind of make the comparison there. And what tell me what goes in the process here. So you come up right now, you get some lyrics, you make so one of the things I've been told and what I understand about you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is do you do your own producing, or you do produce as well? So you're or is
No, so I do produce, but I don't produce much of my own stuff. I have produced for myself, but mostly I do the engineering and the mixing, right? So the producer's the one making, I guess, the beat, you know, arranging things, making the sounds, putting them together, you know, the instrumental generally. And then engineering is taking all of those sounds, taking all the vocals, taking, you know, everything and making them sound good. Because I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure if the audience or you is familiar with like raw vocal recordings, but they don't sound very good a lot of the time. So you have to,
right.
you know, put these effects on them. You have to alter them. You have to edit them, and that's the process that I do, and I, you know, I really enjoy. I like doing it a lot.
And so like when you come up right now, this song, you know, I fucked up 44 million views. Tell me how that works. You have an idea, you come up with a concept, you write you do the lyrics, you write it down, and then how long does that take from generally if you have an idea and you get a song and you come up with it before you like start the first words, the first sort of structure of it to like getting put out on the Spotify, for example, or making a music video?
Right. So I would say, I mean, with that song specifically, I was with my friend Jackie Boy, who produced the song, and he just showed me the beat, and I'm just like, dude, this is a fucking hit, man. So literally the same day, you know, I wrote the whole song, and instead of recording it, I was like, all right. Usually, I immediately will start recording. Like if I've written a song, first I hear a beat, then I make lyrics to the beat based on, you know, whatever emotions that evokes out of me, and then I record it, make it, and release it. And actually, that's generally what I've done with a lot of this. I mean, most of the albums I've ever made have been made within the span of like 2 to 3 days. I'll take a long time writing them, but recording them is very fast. But with I Fucked Up, it was, you know, he showed me the beat, and I was just like, yeah, super good. You know, we took it home, went over the lyrics again, made like polished them. You know, I would just run things by him, and he'd be like, no, that's kind of corny, or, you know, yeah, that's really good. Next day we go to the studio, we recorded it, I mixed it, and it was just like, it was just done, you know. One of the guys at the studio was like, hey, you should scream in the background, and I'm like, really? And then that ended up kind of making the song what it was, you know. So it was yeah, that was just kind of a really special moment, and I think it translated into being, you know, my biggest song. So
I just look at it. It's to me, it's fascinating the parallels with poker, just at least how I would envision like a tournament too. Because you know, it's funny. You know, like a song like one of your favorites, for example, the ones you love the most. I have no idea. I just would imagine that, you know, maybe like one that got 3 or 11 million might be your favorite, or like something that meant more to you. But the one you just don't know. It's similar like a tournament. You play tournaments. You don't know you're gonna win the main event. You're gonna win $100 on in the afternoon on a Monday. You know, so
yeah.
like you're doing the same thing. You're doing what you love. You're playing a game or you're making music. And you don't really know what's gonna like emerge or be the most the best in the moment. you know, is it, how sensitive is it? Is it timing? Is it when they're released? Is it if you get, you know, collaborations? Is it, you know, could it be like a greatest song that you mess up a verse or a lyric or something that just doesn't work, or it's not good? And like, that could have been the, you know, it just seems like such a butterfly effect, or how
Yeah.
it really, like, something becomes like, and it's funny in music too. Like, you think about song people, and I do this, especially like a song that comes out and it's catchy and it's fun and it's like, you listen to it all the time, right? You'll be driving during a 2-week period or something. You listen to it every time you're in the car, and then it kind of goes away and something new comes, and like you kind of play out a song. But you know, just kind of funny, like what makes a song really, like, people love it, and what the difference is. And can you speak a little bit on that, like the luck element, and have you ever been really surprised or also really disappointed? Give me one of each, maybe, on songs.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely that's the thing, is like I don't really have specifics with songs. I kind of, you know, I like them all and I hate them all at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain, you know, but um there's an element of me that's definitely, you know, always super happy to see, you know, any streams on a song, because I'm just like, wow, people actually care about what I have to say. People are listening. And then the other part of me, you know, it's like this duality of man type thing where I'm pissed that it's not a, you know, a Billboard multi-platinum hit, right? And I think that's just the way it is, you know, if you're the sort of, you know, person that I am, the same way that, you know, if you're playing tourneys, you know that you're better than everyone there, but sometimes you just lose the flip, or I don't know how to translate it
Yeah,
exactly into music,
yeah,
but it's just like, you know, you always want to get first. You always want to bink the tournament. You know, I always want to bink the songwriting process, but you know, sometimes it doesn't happen. But I will say that, yeah, there is one element in music, I would say, that's just kind of this element of soul or spirit that songs can kind of take on, that you don't have any control over at the end of the day, right? The music industry wants to make the biggest songs ever that sell insane amounts of copies. And
right.
nowadays, it just, you know, you see that all of these huge songs that come up, some of them are orchestrated, right? Like WAP with Cardi B and Megan, right? Like that was an orchestrated thing. But if you take the biggest song that's ever existed, the Lil Nas X Old Town Road song, right? Like the industry would have killed to have this guy's song from the get-go. But this is just a song that organically came up. It hit a moment, you know, it had like the soul of TikTok imbued with it. And that song kind of in and of itself changed the music industry, and also made this guy rich for life, and also made some music industry executives some more money. But it's kind of, yeah, there's always this element of unpredictability with how a song's going to be received. And if it sounds good but it doesn't have that oomph, you know, you get a lot of pop music's like that. Like it kind of sounds good, like it's sonically there, but it doesn't have that wow, that's really hitting me factor. Whereas you can have the opposite, where there is that, you know, it's super hitting me factor, but it doesn't even sound good. You know, there's a lot of kind of mm, interweaving paths that music can take. But yeah, I would agree with you that there is this element of unpredictability with everything in the musical realm.
And what's your favorite part of the process? Do you enjoy like the first bit of it? Do you love to see it finished? The middle, like what is in a song do you actually like the most of it all, or seeing it go live and people love it and comment? What is like your most best part of being what you do in your
Not
opinion?
to be cheesy, but I would say that it's, you know, it's between the creative process, especially when it's hard, like, right? Because like a lot of times you can write a song and it's easy and you make it and it's all easy and then you release it, but you don't really feel like you've accomplished anything because it was so easy. Like I kind of like getting stuck in a song. Like I kind of like failing a lot. You know, I've had songs that have taken me like a month to write when I'm looking at it every single day, type of thing, right? And I guess the other thing that's my favorite part is just seeing people's, you know, reactions when I get positive, not like a lot of plays, but you know, when I get, you know, fans that have been listening to me for, you know, 3+ years, and they come and say, "Hey man, your new song is like the best, you know, best thing you've made," and it made me really happy and it got me through a moment. That's kind of the stuff where I'm like, wow, okay, cool, I actually did something.
Yeah, that's yeah, it's always nice to get that that kind of feedback and know you are making a difference for people, which is, I think that's ultimately, again, if you're able to do that, do something you love and it helps other people and people like it, it's definitely a gift to have. I did see, and I think even in a post on Instagram, let's see guys, also real quick though, I want to mention that if you guys want to retweet this, there is giving away a $55 ticket at the end. Someone's going to get a poker ticket there, courtesy of Party Poker. We're going to go ahead and take some of these questions. And if you enter, you are eligible. So go ahead. And
there are some really funny questions on there.
Yeah, we'll definitely, we'll leave a little time to kind of go through some of these. And I saw some of the stuff asked. It did look, they were fun, and also some good questions that I'm going to use myself, or we'll hit to it at the end. But I did see, you were referencing that you've been, again, I don't like, not to go into details, but you were saying needed some time, take some time off. Does that happen sometimes where you get burnt out, or do you find, like, I guess more of my question is about being creatively stuck? Like, is it difficult? Sometimes music's rolling off for you. Sometimes you just like can't think of anything to do. I would think that is something that is, over a poker tournament, I sign on Twitch, I play. Stuff's there, it's done for me. For what you're doing, you got to have the creative spark. It's got to mean something to you. You got to be in the mood to do it and kind of go. So is there times where you just kind of like don't want to do anything? And how does that,
yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's a really stressful career because tomorrow's never guaranteed type of thing. And it's just like, it's really hard sometimes. For me, it's also been like especially hard where I'm in this stage of my life where I have to really, consolidate what I'm doing for the future. And I have all these different avenues, and I really love music, and I'm just in this kind of odd spot of future uncertainty. And, it's definitely been, really stressful. I think with the compounded, added layer of COVID kind of making it so that I can't tour, I can't go see my friends, I can't travel at all.
Right.
I've kind of felt really caged, and, it's easy to complain, when whatever, obviously my life's not that bad. I'm not actually really complaining about it, so to speak. But yeah, I was just having a really, really, really bad time for, a few months there, and kind of just acting like I wasn't. And I guess I'm still kind of in that phase, but I'm getting help and whatnot, and I'm just trying to kind of progress, because I guess just again, I'm 24, and it's this really odd, uncertain time in my life, and I'd say in the world in general. I feel like a lot of people are kind of sharing that sentiment, but I think that for me, it's just figuring out answers to kind of lifelong problems that I've had. And yeah, they're not even all directly related to music, but it is what it is. And we all go through stuff, and we all have to we all got to come back to the table after taking the bad beat eventually, right? If you want to get anywhere in life. So.
Yeah. And I think that, mental health is one of those things that is sort of getting a lot of attention over the last few years. And, it's just one of those things that, like, again, it's nice to know you're not alone. Like a lot of people, listen, you get out of bed some days, you don't want to get out of bed, right? You're tired. You got shit going on. You got problems. Everyone's got stuff. If you do like some personal development courses, where you're based, you're out of California originally, right?
Yeah. I'm in from Oakland, okay. California.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a couple of personal development classes, and I think that's really what when you get from people from all different economic situations, all different races, like you kind of get in a room and people start talking. And what I got the most out of this kind of stuff is like, everyone's got issues. It doesn't matter. Like either your family, you personally, your neighbor, like people go through stuff in life. Like that's one of the things. It's kind of like when you start thinking like, oh man, like everyone kind of has some sort of, there's different degrees, but you realize that you're not that different. People, we're humans. We deal with things happen, bad things happen, good things happen. And, it's about controlling your emotion, and it's easier said than done. And I think that's a very serious thing. It's getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so, in this time. And also being on Twitch, doing what you do, like you said, there's a lot of pressure too. It's like people are looking at what's next. Oh, that was great. You just crushed a song and an album or whatever. It's like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
Where do I go from there? And that's like, you're constantly raising the bar, and doesn't sound easy, right? It does sound like there is some stress with that. What is your name, Convolk? What does that mean? I saw you reference, you can't say, or it's like, is that like a secret in a way, or is it?
No. It was so the name Convolk, I guess, was initially it was just Volk, Volk, which means wolf in Russian, which is, I guess, my native tongue. And then I learned that Volk also meant like the people in Nazi Germany, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe not a good idea to just have that. So I added a Spanish Spanish prefix in front of it, con as in with. So I guess it just means like with the wolf, so to speak. But There's always, I guess, been that I've always liked the wolf as like an animal. You know, I've always felt like kind of the lone wolf, kind of the guy to the side, the you know, the loner, the outlier, whatever. And yeah, it's just, I guess it's a name that just resonated with me, and also wasn't, you know, it's not a name where if your name's like, you know, cabinet door handle, if someone looks that up, they're not going to immediately see you. But if you look up Convolk, even like the first 2 days after I made the name, I was the first thing to pop up. So
Right.
I just made sure to get that good old SEO and make sure everything is not bad on the internet sphere. But yeah, I guess, you know, that's what it means.
Very cool. I like it. It does. It's catchy. I like the name. You are credited, at least from what I understand, Lil Peep and yourself contribute to the emo trap subgenre of rap. Could you maybe, is that true? And what does that mean? What is this emo? I'm not really familiar. How would you describe your style, and what is that?
Yeah, there's this funny entry on I think it's called famousbirthdays.com. And it's like, oh, along with Lil Peep, Convulk contributed to the like alternative emo rap genre. It's kind of funny. But I guess I wouldn't say I contributed. I'm not saying that I like started a genre or a sound, or, you know, if people decide I contribute, like, that's not for me to say, right? Like if I contributed, I can't say that I did, right? Like I'd have no idea, because I can't look at it from the outside looking in. I can only look at it as what I did. And for me, all I did was make songs. But yeah, I guess emo rap is kind of, or emo trap, or whatever you want to call it, is kind of the genre that I'm in, where you're blending elements of emo music, you know, rock music, and music that has kind of a, I guess, an emotional output with elements of rap, right? So I guess rap traditionally, up until very recently, actually, it's never been used, like popular rap songs haven't frequently been used as like mediums of expressing, you know, emotional things, right? There are obviously examples of them actually being that way, like, you know, Diggable Planets, you know, Tribe Called Quest. They had emotional subjects, but they weren't drawing off of like, you know, emo music or rock music to the same degree that kind of the new wave of that is. And so, yeah, basically, you know, a bunch of people all collectively kind of transformed a lot of elements of rap into what it is today. And, you know, now it kind of has this extra added element that takes from emo and rap, and like this little subgenre that it has. So that's the way I would say it. But, you know, I'm sure that if music Twitter or, you know, music aficionados got their hands on me saying this, I'd get clowned or something. But, you know, I definitely think that obviously rap has always been a way to express all types of emotions, negative, positive, you know, sad, whatever. And it's always existed, but specifically using the instrumentation of like emo and rock music, I think, is a pretty relatively recent thing. So that's kind of what I'm a part of.
And who's that? What consists of your team, you know, in terms of social media managers, organizing? You're a one-man record.
Yeah, I have my manager Dylan, who just like helps me out with you know, drafting like producer agreements, and, you know, he helps email back people who like lost their merch, and, you know, he's helped me with a lot of things. There's a list of things that I could live, but he helps me function, I guess, as an artist. But that's literally it. I don't have like a PR guy, or, you know, I don't have like a producer group. I just have, you know, internet friends and my manager, and that's kind of it. That's kind of all I've needed. You know, I'm not signed to a label. I distribute independently through DistroKid, which you could go sign up on right now if you wanted to go release music. So, yeah, kind of a very minimal approach to it.
Right. And which part of that, you said you enjoy kind of the process, but in terms of social media, booking tours, like when you said you can't go on tour right now, what is like some of the tours you've been on? Have you gone on? How long are the tours, and where have you been? What's your favorite place?
Yeah, I've done some Midwest shows. You know, I did a quick Texas tour, you know, just really small stuff. And then last year I've also had like a physical ailment for like, you know, a couple years that really made me not be able to do tours last year. And then this year I started exercising and kind of breaking through that that barrier that I guess God set upon me or something. But unfortunately, you can't tour right now. But I did just a 2-show tour in Russia for a week. Like two sold out shows, if I may say so myself. Really really fun time, really good time, and they're crazy out there. And yeah, Texas. I've done shows, California, New York, but I've never had like a full on tour. And I was actually planned for this year to have it all over America, then hitting Europe, like 3-month long tour. America, Europe, and then Russia. With a lot of space in between, and then eventually like a Japan tour and stuff like that. But unfortunately, again, COVID struck and just really fucked up a lot of people's plans, But I'm not complaining at the end of the day. I'm still alive and breathing, so I'm doing fine.
For sure. And have you found with COVID and that there's definitely negative impacts for yourself personally, a lot of people in the world? What about in terms of you as an artist, as focused and putting out content production? Have you found that you've been more productive, getting more things done, or is it kind of?
I don't know, man. I've been less productive for sure. I don't know. I don't think it's really COVID. I just think that I've had a lot of like internal like discipline issues my whole life. And it's really hard for me to just sit down and do stuff just in general. And yeah, I don't know. I've just been really, really kind of unable to I don't know, finding myself kind of frozen, and a lot of circumstances in my life that are extraneous just compound that and make it worse. But yeah, I found it, this year's been probably one of the roughest. I guess 2020 was one of the roughest. Hopefully things kind of alleviate soon, and people get vaccinated or it goes away, or whatever the fuck happens, and we can kind of, I guess, move on collectively.
And when you perform, this is actually also curious because you do the music, you do your thing, you record stuff, and you're young. And how does it work when I had Puya on, who I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, and he loves.
I listened to Puya before I even made music, man. I'm a huge fan. I DM'd him like, hey man, if you wanna study poker, like let's hang out, study poker. And he's just like, yeah, okay. He just kind of dubbed me, but it's fine. I'm probably he probably gets hit up by like a million people all day.
Yeah,
who just like want something.
He's a really funny guy, man. I love his.
I'm a fan of his, man. I love like all the underground dudes that kind of set the. I mean, dude, I don't think I'd exist without Puya. I don't think I'd exist without Bones and all. I could list a billion artists right now, but like they kind of paved the way for each other and for the next generation and for the generation that comes after and so on down the road, until this whole scene stops being a thing, which hopefully is very, very long in the future. Hopefully there's just like an infinite series of people on the internet just making shit that they like that sounds good.
Yeah. And how, like, give me the two styles. How similar are you guys, Puya and your music, if you explain to people?
Oh, super different, I would say. But I think that like he could make music that sounds like mine, and I could make music that sounds like his, and both of them would be good. I've experimented with making harder shit, and I haven't released it. But Puya has released some songs that are much, softer and more, emotional, and have kind of an angsty ennui to them. And I think they sound great. Like I said, I'm a fan of his music for sure. And just like, as a guy, he seems like just like a solid dude to hang out with. And he seems like he's a really, good friend to his friends, and loyalty is super, important to me in a world where people, stab each other in the back all the time. So yeah, I definitely a fan of his,
Very, very cool. And what would you say, out of all the places you said Russia was crazy, where did you just like, the energy was like, you're like, man, it's not what I was expecting, or this place was just amazing, country or whatever, city?
Dude, yeah, definitely Russia would be like the dopest place. I mean, Moscow was just like this crazy show with like the venue filled, and I got like accosted after the show, and I had to go to the hospital because my heart was acting up, and like it was just a bunch of crazy compoundments into one. But it's a great time, and they really show love out there in Russia, and in I would say probably in a lot of non-American countries, aka all of them. They definitely, like, especially Eastern Europeans, they have a really special relationship, I'd say, with music that I maybe also have, and Yeah, it's just they're just crazy about it. If they like you as an artist, they'll camp outside your fucking hotel room if they find out where you live, which literally happened to me. I had a like 20 people just outside my hotel being like, yo, man, like, what's up? And I was like, yo, this is really cool. Like, I fuck with this a lot, actually. Like, I like it, although I'm sure I'd hate it if it went on for like a long time, or,
Right.
if it was like an everyday thing. But, it's super surreal to see, I'm just like the fat nerdy kid, to then, one day wake up when he's, 22, 23 and seeing the fruits of his labor realized, and a bunch of people outside being like, hey man, your music had an effect on me. That's like, that's surreal. I think that, I could die happy, honestly, in a way, but,
yeah, it's
I
pretty.
still want more. I don't know. I still never satisfied, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how that is.
And how do you, so that's, I guess what I was going to ask as well, because Puya, like strikes me, the guy just goes out, he puts like crazy stuff, he posts, he just kind of just goes and does whatever he kind of wants and feels, and just kind of got into it. Now he's on stage and performing. How is it to go on stage for the first time? Like when you got music, you got some success, you got a lot of downloads, your first tour, like your first time, let's say you're going to Russia. Where was your first like official, like, all right, you got an event. Where was that?
Yo, that's funny that you asked. My first show I think it was 2017 or 18. I think it was 2017. And it was definitely 2017. It was in like the summer. It was like March or further. March 3rd. I don't know, whatever. February. But I thought it was a summer. I don't know. It was hot. It was in LA. And 2 people showed up to see me at like this really, really long list of different underground artists that kind of helped me get my own first show. And there was like 7 or 8 people in the audience. There was nobody there basically. And there were just 2 people there that were like, hey man, we're here to see you. And I was just like, wow, that's really cool, but it's just like, it's so funny because I was super nervous, and then I was like, there's no one there, and I'm like, why am I nervous? There's no one here, and no one gave a shit. So it was super cool to see how from just having 2 people, I had a 10 people the next show, and then 25 the next show, and I'm just like, okay, well, something's happening here. So, but it was, I liked it, man. I was grateful to have 0 people, just to be on a stage is cool with me, honestly. So
yeah, that is, and do you think that helped a little bit? Because like, I guess that's sort of how it works, right? Same with anything, Twitch, this, that, you start, it doesn't just start like big, or you go and how it works. So is it in a way to kind of just like prepare you? Because like that first time you got there, like, oh, it's cool, there's a few people here, but it's sort of relaxed, right? You're not in front of 500, 2,000 people getting on and getting nervous. So was it kind of, you just segued through it where it was not a overwhelming experience? Like once you got to 100, 200, 300 people, were you kind of like, all right, this is like, were you ever kind of like nerve wracked, or was it just like so sequential that it didn't really?
yeah, it can be, for me, it's kind of I don't want to say good at it, but I'm comfortable with it, if that makes sense. So my first shows were the worst, I guess, because there weren't people there. But as soon as there's a bunch of people there to see you, you feel, or at least I feel, so blessed that they even are there for me, that it kind of just, I don't like, what the fuck am I going to be nervous about? Like, these people want to see me. That's so crazy to me, right? Like, how lucky is that? People give a shit. And as soon as I thought of it like that, yeah, I never really had stage fright or fear of, failure or anything. I feel super comfortable on stage. It's very natural, for me at least.
And what do you think is your superpower in music? What makes you, there's a lot of talented artists, there's a lot of people in different genres and whatnot. What makes you, do you think that you have such a loyal fan base? And then what stylistic is it? Is it your passion? Is it your gifted vocally, your creativity? What is sort of like that stands out, or is it just kind of, you just craft?
I don't think I'm very, gifted vocally. I don't think I make, I certainly am not that great of a singer. I don't think that my mixing is the best, but I think that's something that, I'm not saying I'm the best at anything, but I think that's something that's certainly, very strong that I have, is just honesty. Like, I'll talk about subjects and songs that I feel like a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, right? Like, I kind of am really transparent in most of my music, where I'm not putting on an act. I'm not putting on a facade. I'm not acting like fake hard. I'm talking about stuff that like, hey, I'm insecure about this thing and I don't have an answer to it, and I'll just basically say that in my music in not so many words. And so I think that's something that, people that really get into me, I think that that's what they're drawn to. If I had to guess, it's just that, I'm honest and I'm not. I think a lot of music, this is something that really bothered me off the bat, is just a lot of music's just like fucking fake, or even if the music's not fake, like the musicians are, it's like you're talking about guns, but you never fucking shot anyone, you don't even own one, bro. It's just like stuff like that, or like talking about like, oh, I'm getting a lot of bitches, and it's like, are you really? Like, I don't think you are, bro. Like, you're single and no girl talks to you. You're like 5'2", so it's like stuff like that always kind of miffed me. So I was just like, even if people think I'm cringe or weird or whatever, I'm just going to be honest, and a lot of people probably do think I'm weird, and they're right. That's the whole point, is that, as soon as you stop the facade and you're just completely transparent with who you are, people, I don't know, people resonate with it. There's kind of almost like a begrudging respect, even the people that don't like it, right? Like if I tell, this isn't appropriate, but if I'm like, yo, hey, every guy scratches their balls and sniffs their hand, you're going to be like, yo, don't say that on my fucking podcast. That's weird. But it's like, it's just true. Stuff that's like uncomfortable or weird or gross or nasty, it's something that's, I feel like, that makes us superhuman. It's like, that's what makes us human, is having these feelings, having this, this stuff that we don't like about ourselves, whatever. So I was just always really, really, really transparent with it. That's like my credo. That's like my biggest thing. And I think that that's what people fucking resonate with, as weird as things can be, as cringe, as whatever. They're like, well, shit, he's not lying, So I think that that's the thing.
And tell me now with music, what is sort of like the checklist? If someone right here just sees this, they're inspired, they kind of like music, they're young, how do they get into to get going? Like, streaming, you need a camera, you need a PC that can support going live. What do you need to start recording music to head on the path these days?
Well, if you want to start recording music, obviously you need the equipment. So the rudimentary things would be just like a computer that can handle a little bit of stuff, at least. Mic. You can get a USB mic if you're broke. That's what I started with. I used my last $150 on the shitty little USB mic, and I made all of my music with it for 2 years, and it sucked, but it worked. And I got the idea across. And then I used the $600 that I got after like 2 years, because again, I didn't make shit, to buy the next mic, which was way better. And then it started sounding good, and then people listened to it more, so on and so forth. So you need a mic. If you have a USB mic, then boom, plug it into your computer. If you don't, you also need an interface, which is this thing that plugs into your computer, volume knobs, whatever. But I'd say the biggest thing that you need for making music, beyond all the physical stuff, is just the desire to actually make music for music's sake. Like, I didn't want to be famous. I didn't give a shit. Like, I was just like, yo, I have this music. I think it's good. I want people to listen to it for sure. But the point is to just like express all this stuff that I've bottled up inside myself over however many years. And if that's your goal, I think you'll do a lot better than if your goal is to like be famous or be rich. If you want to be rich, just study poker. Don't go into music, man. I promise you that. And the other thing is like learning marketing, learning how to make sure that people can hear your music. If you really want to turn it into a career, you're going to need people to listen to it. So learning how to market it, learning how to get people interested in it, creating an image of yourself that people are interested in, that is ideally realistic. For me, it was being hyper transparent, right? Like overly transparent to a point where I'm just like, yeah, hey, my image is like a fat nerdy guy. And people are like, yeah, cool. I like this. It's honest. I never pretended to be like cool or, different. I wore some cool clothes, and I like clothes, I guess, but I'm not wearing it for any other reason than I just like wearing it, So stuff like that. I would just say, if you're going to make a fake image, make it a really good fake one, whatever. And be ready to grind. A lot of it's really thankless. And some of the biggest artists, no one gave a shit for like 5 whole years, and then they got found, and then something happened. So right. It has to be something that you're ready to like live your whole life being broke with, basically, So That's how I see it. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
it's interesting. I guess it's hard to know, like when you make it, or when how when to hold on. I mean, that's so true in a lot of careers and industries, right? It's like you got to go through it, and I think ultimately you got to know if it makes you happy. At any point where you during this run, before you kind of caught wind and steam, and things I guess happen fast, probably, right? It goes from like 1, 2, or 5, you get a little bit of downloads, you get on Spotify, you get verified, or however it works, right? The same process. And then it kind of takes off at some point. Was there a period of time where you're like, man, I'm looking at doing something else, or did you have to have another job to supplement income, or did you just?
No, I never thought about. I will say this: like, I always had doubts. Sorry for moving the computer. I always had doubts about. Dude, I have doubts to this day, right? Like, even today, I'm just like, man, fuck. Like, I hope that all these people still like my stuff. Like, I hope I don't fuck up. Those sorts of thoughts I just always have. And again, I shouldn't say that, but I do. Part of the transparency thing, I guess. But yeah, even before, I guess, quote unquote, catching wind or whatever, I always had doubts and fears, more fears, less doubts, more fears and anxieties about the future, or what was in what was in store for me. But I've never even considered like having a different career, in the sense of I've never considered, what will I do if this fails? I've always just been like, fuck it, I refuse to fail type of thing. So again, it's like a weird duality where half of me is like, man, I'm really worried. And the other half of me is like, yeah, I don't give a shit at all. I can't fail, So it's like, it's really weird. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I've had worries, but I also kind of just brush them to the side and say, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway. So I think that's what worked.
Is there a like formula or a certain number where you officially, like, you can be like, all right, that guy's probably making a living strictly, like, is a certain amount of downloads, is a certain amount of followers on a platform, like what's like, or is it just too hard to tell? Because how does it work? Like, Spotify pays per download or something, or
no? So it's per stream. They pay. Well, here's the thing. It's really different. If you're an independent musician, you need a lot less to make money, because you're collecting 100% of your royalties. Or not 100%, but you're collecting a percentage, whatever splits you have with producers and whatever, goes to them. But you're collecting a lot of your royalties. Whereas if you're signed to a label, they can take anywhere from 15 to like 85% of everything you make. So, there are artists that have, 10 million monthly listeners that make probably like 100K a year, and they make most of their money from like touring and merch, which, touring doesn't exist right now, type of thing. Right.
Where can people get your merch?
Oh, I don't have any right now. I do kind of limited releases. But I'll send you a shirt or something that you want. If you want anything.
Yeah.
Next time I have a merch drop, man. But
we'll have to exchange. We'll do a swap on that. I would like that, man. I think that's cool. How did that feel, seeing people at your concerts and you see people wearing your stuff around? That's got to be pretty.
Dude, it's a really, I don't know. It makes you think, because it's just like, it's something that most people will never get to see. And it's just like, damn, I'm fucking lucky as hell. That's really all I can think. I'm just like, how the fuck did I get here? I don't, I'm not even worthy of this, like, these people are awesome. That's pretty much how I see it,
Yeah, that's man, what a feeling. And how do you get verified? What are the parameters on Spotify? Because again, every platform has their stuff.
Dude, I honestly don't know. I mean, I've been verified organically on any platform that I'm verified on, and like on Twitter, I'm still not verified, and it's like, that's fine. I never really gave a shit about verification beyond just not having people steal my stuff, because that does happen where people will upload my music and claim it as their own, which is annoying, but it's something I deal with, whatever. But yeah, the verification thing is just happens organically. For me, some people have to like submit, and some people have a label do it for them, and some people just also have it organically. Everyone's kind of different.
And when you do drop a song, how does that work? Is you have like a party when you put it up on Spotify? It's a big one, and it's got to be kind of fun to see it like go live and just sort of take its course. Like how is it like crypto or something? You're sweating, like get refresh. Are you
yeah.
Like, all the time? And at what point do you kind of like, all right, it hit where it's gonna hit?
So with the advent of social media, what I do is I just make a song, say I'm going to upload it on a certain date. People are like, cool, I'm waiting for it. And then I upload it and I post on social media, and that's it. You know, super simple. And between you and me, yeah, I kind of do watch the plays roll in sometimes. And you know, it feels good because it's always cool to see it jump from like, you know, 1,000, and then you leave your house, you go eat, and you come back, and you go to bed, and you wake up, it's at 10,000, and you're like, nice, you know, sick. People give a shit.
People are still here. They still got me turned on. They're following. They're not. You know, yeah, for sure. That's pretty cool. What has been your biggest learning in this process that, you know, kind of like you say, you embrace the grind, you love it all? What was like when you said, all right, I'm going to go do music, I'm going to be an artist, I'm going to make a living doing this? What was maybe the biggest surprise or challenge to actually from when you started to where you are now?
Yeah, it's the same stuff that I'm, you know, struggling with now. It's just discipline, right? Like my whole life, I've always been someone who was just able to kind of get through things without working at it, right? Like I got through school fine, you know, gone to college, did well on the ACTs, you know, I bullshit my final senior paper in college. Like everything I've ever done has been like minimal effort. I don't know why I've always had this like I don't give a shit attitude, but I have. And now that I'm basically solely responsible for anything that happens in my life, you know, I can't blame things on anyone. It's all on me. I'm like a slacker. I'm kind of like a naturally lazy guy. I've never liked working. And now it's like I have to force myself to do that. So that's kind of the biggest lesson to learn, is that this thing that I've been resisting my whole life, which is, I guess, like authority and discipline and, you know, things that are, you know, controlling me or telling me what to do type of thing. Right. I have to embrace them or I'm not going to make it. You know what I mean? Like if I don't have, like, this is something I've noticed about you that I really admire is like, dude, I mean, and then you notice the way that I like I wouldn't text you back, just like, not because you know, I'm like ignoring you. I'd like read the text and I'd be like, wow, okay, yeah, I should text him. And then I feel guilty about it and not do it for 2 days type of thing. Whereas you as a person, you know, you fucking grind, man. You stream pretty much every day, you know, multiple hours, grinding multiple tournaments. You know, you're doing these podcasts, whether or not, you don't give a shit if they give you, you're doing the podcast. Like you have this mentality of like, go fucking get it, eat, go work, you know, you probably work out, you know, all this shit. And that's something that that's my biggest thing, because that doesn't come naturally to me at all. I'm not conscientious at all. I like so lazy. So that's, I think, the biggest lesson that I've needed to learn, is that like I need to be more like that and less like someone who just, you know, kind of lies around and then is punished by fate for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, yes and no. I agree that you obviously, to get to where you are, it takes a lot. There's a lot of, or else more people would do it. It does take a lot of work, because that first step's difficult to say, all right, I got to do this. I got to go get a computer. I got to get this. I got to learn how to do this. It's like uncomfortable. All right, this is going to happen. You play through the scenarios and you can't really know how it's going to end up. But with that being said, it's also about balance, right? I think that's one of the key words in life that it's obvious, but it's just can't say it enough. Like if you do right now, you wake up and you do 12 hours of writing and stream recording, and you know, it's just like, you want to work out, you want to have some sun, you want to meditate, whatever, you want to talk to friends, you want to go out, walk around, you want to, you know, it's important to balance. Because like when you get, at least in my opinion, when I find they're like, oh, I do 16-hour streams back to back, like say during like a big tournament series, right? Like the World Poker Tour and Party Poker, when I'm playing on there, if it's a series like 2 weeks, there's times where I'll just like, everything's out there. And this is now I have a 2-year-old son, almost a 2-year-old son. I'm married, and this is a little different than when I was like you know, you're 24. It's crazy. Like I'm 34. I mean, it's a big difference. And again, to see where you're at, it's pretty impressive. Like to have your stuff, you know, moving, and millions and millions of people are listening. It's like, it's pretty cool, but you're also super young in the scheme of things. But you know, that's like, it's a process that if you get out of balance, it's really easy for things. And that's in anything. I think anyone that does something all the time doesn't keep track, you know, take care of their life, other areas. If you get too out of one way, because it's like some mentality is, oh, I'm just going to do all, go balls to the wall. I'm going to get this song done. I'm going to focus. And that's cool. And that's good. But still, like I think the best practice is to have balance. All right, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get good sleep. I'm going to do these things. And then maybe I'll do a little extra. But if it just goes all one way, it's just easy for stuff to kind of all get out of whack. And I mean, again, like that's true for, I think, almost anyone, anywhere, on anything. And we all have different degrees of what that means, and like how we're able to recalibrate. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like you can do that you can get out of balance, you can feel one way, but then are you able to kind of shift back and get back into it quickly, or does it take a while? And I think that's, again, everyone's different. Everyone has their different methodology to do it. But that's you're obviously doing a lot right. And I mean, again, I think it's normal when people kind of disconnect or just kind of take a bit of a break. So for whatever that means. But yeah, I don't know if that relates to you or and you're
yeah, I definitely agree. I just think that the break that I took, the way that I feel about it is like with the music stuff, it's sometimes it's work, but a lot of the times it's just I do it because I just truly enjoy it, so it's not work for me. And I'm more almost talking about like sometimes you need to do things that you don't want to do. Like I think that you maybe this is the same for you. Like maybe you want to get up and stream every single fucking day, and you want to. I'm not saying when you get gassed out, because everyone gets gassed if they're doing 16-hour-a-day streams, but if I'm talking about stuff where it's like I kind of don't want to go downstairs and like lift a bunch of weights, but it's like I have to, or I'm gonna get old and die when I'm 50 and not when I'm 80 or whatever, right? So it's kind of stuff like that where it's like, hey man, there's things you don't want to do in life and you need to do them. And it's such a I guess a privilege, for lack of a better term. It's such a privileged thing to say, where it's like, it's like, I'm basically saying like, yeah, I guess I've never had to do stuff I don't want to do, which isn't exactly true. Like I've always had to do stuff I don't want to do, but I just want to start doing it almost as like a character building thing. Like Calvin and Hobbes, how his dad's always like, yeah, doing stuff you don't like builds character. It's like, I think being young is wanting to be like Calvin. And then like getting older is realizing that his dad's fucking right. It's just like, right. Yeah, man, you gotta eat healthy. You can't just have a burger every 5 minutes.
I've actually had like in the last 5-6 months, I've almost felt sort of like a character, or kind of like I don't know what to say, like not an identity crisis, but it's like I kind of don't know what I want to do exactly, in a way where like I've started this podcast, like you're number 119. I love it. It's fun to me. I like talking to people, poker, otherwise, business, life, music. People are doing like extraordinary things in my mind. They're passionate about what they're doing. I just think it's interesting. Like I'm learning about how it works, how you get into it, all these little things, right? But then I start thinking, and then it's like, all right, it's different now. I'm not a single guy, or I'm not young, where I'm like grinding. Like I've done the really intense Twitch grind, and now I have a family, right? Like it's not really conducive to have a 2-year-old and be on like from, it's just not fun. Like I don't want to be on streaming, wake up, see him for a second or something, stream, and then he's asleep at 7 and I'm up till, what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't really work like that. So I'm just like trying to find sort of different balance, different things. And my role has shifted, like with what I do. It's like I'm more managing like the party poker team and doing different stuff and working on other content and taking a little bit of a different role. But it's just like life is funny. And like your point about Calvin and Hobbes, which is a really interesting way to look at it. But it's like you want different things at different times and what you want to work. And then when you want to whatever. And it's like sometimes I always think like do more. And it's hard sometimes to say no, right? Like I ask you to do a podcast, and like you were saying, it's like could mess up your schedule. Certain things are like you kind of want to do or you don't, but you do. And it's like I look around, I'm like, all right, this is an investment opportunity. I could do this sports card thing. There's this date. Like at some point, you kind of realize that you want to simplify your stuff too, right? Like you want to do it all. You want to travel. You want to have fun, but then at some point, you want to relax, and things kind of shift at different periods of your life on what you're really trying to do. So that's like something I've kind of had, like kind of feel like I've hit like a weird sort of like different point in my life, where I'm like, I don't really know. Like it's like I don't know what I want to do in a way, if that makes sense. Or I'm like thinking like I could do this, I could do that. What do I really want to do? How does that impact other areas of my life? And it's the more older you get, the more responsibilities you have. The more paperwork, taxes, like HOAs and fucking expenses and child things. It's just like
in a way
you don't really want to deal with it. Like, try to find systems and auto billing and this and that, but just like more and more, and then phone calls or, then you buy it. It's just interesting. Like there's like a sweet spot. And I think it's like 20s, right? You're out of college or you're free or you're young, 20 to 27, 8, 9, generally, like you just kind of have some time. So like, you don't have a lot of responsibility most of the time. You might have I don't know if you have a girlfriend or any relationship or whatever. But different things. There's different times where you have different responsibilities. It's kind of nice that you got to take your me time, take your self time when you can, and enjoy that.
I think you and me are in a interestingly similar place in life where it's like, I'm gonna continue with music forever just because I love doing it, But it's like if I don't see my career popping off to like great new heights, which is something that I personally do want, I'm still always going to release music, but it's like then I have to look at these other mediums of like stuff that I like. Like I love poker. You know, I'm not super great at it, but I'm finally like a low stakes winning player, right? Like I think I've put in enough hours to where I can comfortably say that. And you know, I actually have the results finally to back it up. But but then I'm like, well, hey, if you really want to pursue poker, it's not just, you're not going to be grinding low stakes for your whole life. And if you are, players are just going to consistently get better, even at low stakes, right? So it's like, you're going to have to put in a lot of fucking hours. You know, like I have my friend Landon Tice to relate it back to poker. That dude literally locked himself in a fucking room for a year and grinded like 6 table plus online for like 16 hours, a just insane amount of time every day. And, if you're not putting in that type of work, you're just not going to make it to that crazy level where now Landon, I mean, like, in my opinion, I think he's the best young player alive, right? Like at that age bracket, he's like 21 or 22. You know, I think he's the best alive at that age range, period. You know, and I think that he will eventually be the greatest player of all time, which is his goal. Maybe I'm overhyping him because he's my friend, whatever, but I just think that's the case.
He's actually got a challenge with one of my closest friends, Bill Perkins, been on the
podcast. I love Bill. Dude, tell Bill to follow me back on Instagram. Dude, I need to be like Bill, man. I'm trying to get my money and financial like I'm trying to get my money straight like Bill so I can pursue more music and not less of it, you know? Because it's like, dude, that guy, I fucking love Bill, man. He's cool as hell. And he also, like, you know, props to him. I want to also be like him in the way where, like, dude, he looks like he's like 25. And I don't know how old he is, bro, but he has like 2 daughters that are like my age and shit. And he looks like my age too, dude. It's great.
No, he takes really good care of himself. And he also doesn't, you know, he didn't have, he wouldn't drink till he was 21. Doesn't do like, you know, he's very like, he's very regimented, very, you know,
that's what I'm talking about. He and I are opposites in that way where it's like I can just automatically tell he's like this hyper conscientious guy. He loves to be doing shit, right? Like I bet his off days are like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go hike up like half of Mount Everest or some shit. No, that's a vacation.
You know, one of the biggest, he's the way have you read his book, Die with Zero?
No, I haven't.
Good. It's fascinating. I think you would really, really like it. But one of the things that when I first got to know him really well was the way he like looks at things are so interesting with time and money and stuff. And like I remember, you know, we went out to eat and he was like, I got a piece of pizza or something. He ordered like, you know, tuna and like healthy whatever. And then he was like, and I was like, man, you know, you eat the same things like tilapia, tuna, like all these healthy things. And he's like, yeah, you know, I look at it like that piece of pizza that's like 45 minutes on the treadmill. For me that I have to do. And he's like, you know, and he looks at his hourly and whatever, and just like or just how he wants to spend his time. And, you know, you start thinking like that. And, you know, that's the way he thinks, like where it looks you know, every action has a reaction or a consequence or a thing. And, you know, it's a bit over the top, right? But the way I was like, wow, that's really interesting to think about like a food you eat and how that would translate to how much time actually you would be spending to like get that back, you know, whatever. It's just the way he operates. So I'll tell him without
that in my life, man. That guy's a monk. That guy's just like so disciplined.
Yeah, I will do that for sure. I'll say hello. Well, yeah, he's and do you have any role models, any people you look up to in the industry otherwise?
Role models, man.
Role models is a strong word, but people that you like respect, look up to, consult, talk with, get ideas off of, you know.
Yeah, I like this guy on YouTube, Wes Watson. He's like a former inmate or I guess convict. I don't know what the term is. I mean, he basically he did 10 years in prison and he went in as like, you know, this young guy with his, you know, head up his ass or whatever. I don't know, however he describes it. And he came out like super disciplined and, you know, he like turned all of his problems into, you know, power, if that makes sense. Like he turned like, you know, he's like a really naturally angry guy and he decided to channel that anger into like more positive things. You know, he wanted to be more, you know, he's like a great dad. He's like this loving guy who's like the scariest motherfucker you've ever seen type of thing. And he just talks a lot on his channel about, you know, embrace the pain now. Again, something that I struggle with that I think Bill Perkins has no issue with. It's like, or, you know, Bill Perkins, obviously, no one has an easy time just eating tuna when someone's eating pizza. But I'm saying that, like, you know, I have a real problem and like addiction almost to just
like indulgence. Yeah.
So this Wes Watson guy is just like super disciplined. And he talks about how like, hey, man, if you don't embrace the pain today, you're going to feel the pain tomorrow. And it's always worse to feel the pain tomorrow when you're older than it is to feel it now. And I'm just like, man, fuck, I really, I look up to this guy, I respect him. He's like a family oriented man with like strong values. He's like a strong guy mentally, physically. And it's like, that's something I definitely want to be like. And as far as musicians go, dude, there's so many artists, Tom York, fucking, Damon Albarn from Gorillaz, all these guys that I am just in, Trent Reznor, I'm just so in awe of them. And how they create their own sound and whatever like that. As far as creativity, that's how I want to be more like them in terms of just experimenting and really working and being obsessive almost with this music stuff. And I want to be more like Bill or Wes or any of these other myriad examples I can provide of people that are just they have their shit together. And I think that if you can combine that of having your shit together and then like working on your passion, that's how I think truly great things are made, right? Like Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel over a period of 10 years. That didn't happen because he was undisciplined, but just had passion, or vice versa. It happened because he was probably hyper disciplined enough to continue the same project for 10 fucking years, and also was so passionate and in love with it that he continued the same project for 10 years, And now I would say the Sistine Chapel is like one of the most ornate, beautiful pieces of art that humanity's ever produced, right? So I'm just saying that it's like combining those two things is, I think, how you reach the pinnacle of success. Same with Landon, dude. Same with anyone who's super successful at anything. They make it their obsession and then they add on discipline. They're not just blindly obsessed with it with no structure, So it's like, that's my issue, is that I can be blindly obsessed, but I just have none of the structural support that I need, So that's what I'm working on.
For sure. I would love to know though, the 10 years though, how much vacation, how much was he nightly? Was he having some nice wild parties? Like,
true.
How much is 10 years? He could have really milked it. But
maybe I'm completely wrong. And maybe he's just like a sick DJ who like could have done it in like 2
playing
months.
Poker and having, parties, wild parties and doing whatever and going on vacations and, that story. But fair enough. I get your point. Do you read a lot? Do you where did you go to college? Your vocabulary is very impressive. You are very well spoken. What's your
my dad's I guess I'll answer that question without answering the question. My dad's a mathematician who was super adamant about making sure I was like the smart child, which is again how I guess I've been able to coast through life.
From Russia, right? Your dad was born in Russia? Or?
Russia. So, he taught me how to read Russian. He taught me algebra by the time I was 7, all this stuff. And my mom was a very, God rest her soul, she was a very well-spoken woman who was really into just vocab words for vocab words' sake. So I read a lot of books as a kid. I was reading when I was like 2.5 and blah, blah, blah. And I was just naturally kind of curious and interested in things. So I guess I gained a lot of peripheral and just, I don't know, I guess just peripheral knowledge and random trivia-esque facts about the world or whatever, just through like reading, fun little books and stuff. And nowadays I don't read as much because focusing's really hard and, discipline's really hard. And when you have a computer that can show you Super Mario 64 speed runs, what am I going to go read fucking books for? Right. So, that's again, just like all back to the same issue of just like a lack of discipline. But yeah, I went to college in upstate New York, just like a small school that I kind of hated. And that's actually what made me do music, is how much I didn't like school around me and stuff.
What brought you there? What brought you to upstate New York from Oakland?
I just wanted to get away from home, man. So I had kind of a rocky relationship with my dad, and this desire to really be independent and away from everything that I, grew up with and stuff. And so I was just like, cool, I'm going to flee to upstate New York and just be in the middle of nowhere. And I've realized that, again, it's not really about where you live. It's kind of like how you live in a way, right? Where if you're unhappy somewhere, it's a lot of the times it's not just the place, right? A lot of the times it's the way that you're constructing your life. So
is that near Schenectady, or what part of upstate? How far upstairs?
So I went to Bard. So that's in, I guess it's right next to Kingston, New York.
Okay.
It's like New Paltz area. It's next to Vassar, like Poughkeepsie area, I guess. It's like
Turning Stone. Then was that near there? That Turning Stone, the casino. Did you ever go there? Is that?
No, I didn't play any poker in college. I played poker in like high school for for play money. I played one game for play money in college, like literally one game. And then again, I just got shown poker by my friend here, and I had seen so many of those goddamn of those World Poker Tour videos, man. I saw you, dude. This is like I saw you before I even knew poker, dude. I saw fucking all the legends, dude, everybody. And I'm just like, man, that's so cool. He's bluffing with 3-5 offsuit. You know, this is back when you would watch the reruns of when poker, before people, you know, before it was what it is today, you know. So I had this weird image of poker in my mind where you're supposed to bluff a lot and whatever and be unbalanced and whatever. But yeah, I did not go to any casinos up there.
Wow, interesting. So in poker, where does that rank on your passions right now in terms of hobbies and what you do other than music?
It's pretty high. I'd say like, you know, top 5, you know, I love poker and I want to get better at it. So I've decided, you know, like continue winning at low stakes consistently, and then, you know, build up a bankroll, like a big bankroll. You know, I obviously, you know, I have enough money to play poker and not really worry about things, but like, right, I want to be able to have money that is truly just a poker bankroll, right? Stuff that's not coming out of music or anything else or investments,
right?
Stock trading, whatever, just poker. And so build up the bankroll slowly but surely, you know, make sure that we can perfectly win at, you know, every 1-2 and 2-5 game, you know, in the entirety of the United States. And then from then, I think that I want to really start studying hard, you know, talking to, you know, getting line checks from my pro friends, and just, you know, studying, probably, you know, get PIO, do some work there. And that's another thing, is like, there's really no blueprint for it, right? Like, people tell you to just subscribe to, like, yo, you know, go subscribe to Red Chip or Crush Live Poker or Upswing or whatever. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, nothing's really going to teach you poker as much as a really, really winning player, I think, in my opinion, is, right? Where it's like, they can just perfectly run lines for you. You know, they know what the fuck to do. And again, I'm lucky enough to know those types of people. So that's just, you know, that's kind of my plan. I'll still probably subscribe and lose some money to Upswing and, you know, Crush Live or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that, you know, I do want to have this trajectory where one day I'm on one of those huge games, you know, the big game. You know, I want to be in for like 100K at some game and not be punting, you know what I mean? And just like be playing really, really well. Not necessarily just like perfect GTO, but you get my point, right?
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. Well, listen, I'm learning a lot. We've covered a lot, and I see a lot of really interesting questions, fun questions. So I do want to take some time and hit some of these. And of course, on Twitter, guys, if you want to retweet, this is giving away a $55 ticket today from Party Poker. So that'll be at the end. If you guys are getting that out, ask a question, you'll be eligible. Let's just run through some of these. And again, if we miss any and you want to go back, you know, take a look, they're there, guys. So we'll try to answer some here. Let's dig into it. Do you ever heard of Argentina trap? Is that a thing?
I don't think I've heard any Argentinian trap, unfortunately.
An Argentinian trap, is it broken down? Like, have you heard countries are there countries that it's so popular that's actually like?
Yeah. No, I'm sure there is Argentinian trap. I'm sure if you like looked it up on YouTube, you'd find like the biggest, you know, artists from Argentina making trap music, you know.
Any countries that are really strong, or like Russia or somewhere that's sort of like,
yeah,
really
Russia has strong trap music. I'd say Mexico has pretty strong trap music. Japan, in my opinion, I love their rappers, like all of them. Shout out to Ko, although he's never ever in a million years gonna watch something that he A, doesn't understand, B, doesn't play poker, you know, etc. But love that guy.
You never know. I think we might get a Ko. Maybe his social media, someone could tag him.
Yeah, tell everybody who speaks Japanese, go tell Ko. I'm sure that Britain obviously has like crazy trap music, but as far as countries that I don't speak the language of, I would say just like Mexico, China has super sick trap. Japan has super sick trap music.
Interesting.
That's all I personally know, but I'm sure that pretty much every country has some really.
When they do in the trap, are they speaking English? Or they're just like the beats are sick and they're speaking in their native language.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, there's these guys called the Higher Brothers from China. You know, they just rap in Chinese. They'll throw in an English word there so that, you know, my white ass can you know, repeat it. But yeah, they make really, really fucking good music.
Very, very cool. We got a question. See, this is how I knew about Jeff Boski in particular, because I see Escalana ask, how did you feel after training with Jeff? Which you kind of said you guys really just trained in and out, got some burgers, but what did he do? You were in the vlog then, or so people were aware of this?
I think I'm like in one of his vlogs, bowling or something. But yeah, I like Jeff Boski. I just like hanging out with him. We didn't do any training, although that would have been cool. You know, I did ask him like a few questions just about, you know, tournaments and, you know, push fold ranges or whatever, like super simple stuff. And you know, shout out to Boski. He's just a solid dude, you know, who he grinds every single day. You know, he streams on Twitch as well, and just solid guy. You know, just an all around good guy with. I guess he's kind of an old soul, you know. He's you know, just solid, all American solid dude. I definitely, you know, I love Boski. I love his vlogs, and his personality's great. You know, so shout out to him.
Awesome. Yeah, he's actually hasn't been on the podcast yet, and we've talked about. I need to reach out to him and get him on for sure. He's also I'd play at the Cage down in Costa Rica with him a few times, and you know, I like his vlogs, his style, his demeanor, right, his attitude's I think he's very good for poker. So. We'll definitely have to do that. So people talking about songs, what's your favorite song that you ever like, just that you love the most? They're all just kind of meaningful, or is there anyone that's like, man, this one was like
that I made? Dude, I don't have a good answer to that. I don't even think I have one that I haven't made that it's my like true favorite. You know, I have a lot of artists that I like, but as far as my own music, man, I tend to only like, I'll listen to things to kind of sound check them. And I'll listen to something if it gets like stuck in my head or it's like a really good beat that I've made. But very rarely do I listen to my own music for any other reason than sound checking stuff. And sometimes like I'll sit down and listen to a whole album of mine, just listening to how it sounds on Spotify or something, you know, because there's a weird conversion thing. They make it a little quiet or whatever. And I'll just sit there with headphones on like not enjoying it at all, just like being like, yeah, oh man, I should have made that clap just half a decibel louder, you know, stuff like that. So that I don't know. I can't say I have a favorite.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes sense. Now, how many songs have you written, done, and then how many have you actually like put out?
Dude, most of the songs I've ever made, I've put out. I'm sitting on like 4 or 5 more songs that I haven't released yet. Beyond that, I literally don't have like a backlog of things to release, which is, again, one of my big problems is like, you know, I don't have a space to record here until now. I actually, you know, congratulations to me, just signed my lease to a new apartment. I'm buying actually a soundproof room. Nice. They're going to build inside the apartment so I can just be screaming in there and no one will hear me, which is great. And yeah, I'm going to start making music a lot more consistently. I think that's a big thing that's kind of weighed me down, is like no place to make music. So yeah, once I start, you know, ask me that question again in like 3 months, once I start actually having access to space to record, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more stuff unreleased.
Very, very cool. And what about Twitch? What's your favorite platform to watch or use, and what do you like in terms of that? Would you be recording? What do you think about recording and doing on Twitch or doing?
Yeah, I've thought about that. I like playing video games on Twitch sometimes, you know, just for fun, just for the fans. Like nothing. I've never considered Twitch as like a serious thing. But, you know, sometimes I have these like wild dreams of like, you know, I could be an IRL streamer who just walks down the street and like talks to random people. And I think that I could create really cool content like that because I'm naturally outgoing. And as you can see, I have kind of a motor mouth on me. But I definitely just look at Twitch as just a good platform to kind of watch the content I like. You know, I'll watch you stream a tournament. I'll watch Boski stream a tournament. I'll watch DePaulo stream a tournament. I wish you guys could stream cash games, but I know that's like kind of unfeasible in real life and casinos, you know, whatever. Right. You know, I like Ludwig. He was on your podcast. I like his stream. You know, I like a bunch of different streamers. You know, Simply, he's a Super Mario 64 streamer. Cheese, same thing. A bunch of Melee streamers. You know, just like the games I play, you know, I'll watch people and yeah, but I've never personally considered it seriously. Although, you know, maybe someday in the future. It seems like a lot of people have went from, you know, a certain career to like doing that career, but on Twitch, you know? And I think that it's, I mean, it's good building a brand, etc.
And what other hobbies do you like? Do you collect any cards, sports cards? Are you into sports?
Yeah. I, Magic the Gathering, love that game. And, stock trading, kind of getting into it. Palantir, the Moon Palantir.
Very nice. Do you collect actual cards or do you just like play? Do you have them like graded and sent?
Mostly play, but the collectors are crazy, man. There are some cards. I mean, I'm sure you know, there's some cards that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, just insane prices, right? And I definitely don't collect those cards. but I love playing them. You know, I'm a big fan of the game, and yeah, it's normal stuff.
Yeah, it's that I used to play a bit. There's actually some Magic players that went into poker pretty heavily. I think David Williams, trying to think.
Yeah, Efro, yeah, Eric Froelich.
Yep, there's some. Yep, exactly. And collecting's really become big, and Pokemon as well is like a big surprising $1 million cards, and sports cards are going crazy, and it's a interesting world. But Magic, how does that work now? Is it like Magic online, or is it all online? Is it people?
Yeah, I play online now. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been a long time. I remember vaguely playing, but it's been a long time, and definitely one of those games, kind of like Hearthstone, or games you're thinking. There's strategy. It's fun. It's all of the all the components in there. What things do you think are equal between poker and the artist world? Good question from Marcelo Chalet there.
Yeah, I do like that question. Well, you have to work hard if you want to get anywhere, just like anything else. And I would actually say there's like a different type of creativity, if that makes sense, where you need to be creative to, be a musician. Obviously, it's a creative endeavor. And whereas poker is like, it's this solved game, there's still an element of, if you decide to exploit an opponent, doing so in a creative manner. And I'm not saying fancy play syndrome, but I'm saying doing so in a creative manner where you're like, again, especially if you're against a competent opponent that knows that you can try to exploit them, so then they'll exploit you back. Doing so, like, again, playing against that person in a quote unquote creative manner, the same way, some of the things that we saw in the Doug versus Daniel heads up challenge from both players, actually, I would say are creative, unorthodox, not game theory optimal, but they were actually effective, So there's that. But again, the biggest thing I would say is just discipline and just maintaining this, a study routine, a desire to succeed, a desire to like innovate, do new stuff, And I think the biggest thing with poker and music is always being open to being wrong in a way, right? Where it's like a lot of times, like on the river, do we go thin or do we check, right? And you choose one, and maybe you should have chose the other, whatever. Regardless of the result, it's like always, listening to other people's input and being like, oh, hey, I think that's, this is interesting. Even if I don't agree and I don't change this behavior or whatever, it's a very interesting point, and it makes you think more about the thing. So I think that's an important thing, is always being open to change.
Yeah, I think results oriented is such a powerful concept too in life, and then it's so easy to you bust kings to ace four, and it's tough, or you make a play that works but you shouldn't have, and then you're like, oh, so it's tricky. And that's also with variance and stuff in life and music or anything, right? Like, oh, that song, this thing didn't work, or it didn't go what I thought it would, and you can't necessarily, it could be there's a lot of things playing, there's a lot of factors in life and different things, so you gotta be able to try to be honest and understand what that means and what results oriented is, and be careful, because it's definitely tricky in anything.
Yeah.
How do you think you would do without the internet? Have you seen The Social Dilemma? Is this like, what would you be able to do if like there were no phones, no TV? Do you think
I'd be fucked music wise, but I think mental health wise, dude, it's fucking blessing, dude. It'd be a blessing, because then I could be like, yeah, I'm gonna go read a book, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to go fucking watch YouTube for 16 hours and be like an addict, like a true junkie degenerate in my room, just like not getting up.
Yeah, part of it's like FOMO too, right? Like, it's like, just, you don't like, what's going on? How's the guys in my industry doing? Who's doing what? What's next? Where's the next part? Is it someone doing a tour? Oh, I'm off tour, but like this guy's doing a tour somewhere, and how does that work? And like, just like seeing and in a way, I think the COVID sort of slowed down FOMO, at least for live stuff, because it's like, all right, there's this going on, there's that birthday, I got a wedding, there's these things happening, I pay, like, you just kind of like, all right, no one's doing shit, no one's really doing anything, like, really. So that I think in a way is almost can kind of appease that a bit. But yeah, interesting question there. Someone asked about crypto. Are you a believer? Do you like Bitcoin? Anything? Do you think it makes sense? Do you have any thoughts?
I will say, here's what I'll say about crypto. There's probably maybe 25 to 50 people in the world who can properly explain to you what a Bitcoin is. That's my answer on whether I believe in crypto. Not to be all cryptic about it. I'll say this. That's my answer. And then before people are like, oh, so he doesn't believe in crypto. I am invested in multiple coins, including Bitcoin. Also, Shout out to Bitcoin for deciding to go up by $6,000 like 2 days ago. That was
Elon as well. Elon's pumping stuff, man. Bitcoin.
Yeah, I will say this. Bitcoin will probably be worth like 100K in 2-3 years, whatever. Be careful of Dogecoin. I'm not going to make a long-term prediction, but I will say there's like people that are just brainless on the internet that are saying like pump Dogecoin, like your favorite celebrity who doesn't have two brain cells to rub together is saying, oh yeah, I'm put all in on Dogecoin. And it's like, no, that's kind of weird. That feels way more pump and dump than Bitcoin does, and I'm not talking about Elon Musk. He, I don't think he's dumb. I think he's definitely pump and dumping it, and he's very smart with it. But I think that, a bunch of dumb people are just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hop on the trend. There's no way I could get burned here. If I put in 100K into something that's 8 cents and it drops a cent and I lose like literal multiple tens of thousands of dollars, then what could go wrong? I think that, if you're going to invest in Dogecoin, just be aware of the volatility. And if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, you should probably perceive it as a long-term thing and not worry when it like tanks back down to like 35 in a week or whatever, if that happens, because it could just as easy hit 50K or so on and so forth. But I do think that Bitcoin, unless it somehow gets like quote unquote shut down, and I don't know what that would even look like, unless that happens, I think that it will be a very valuable thing in the long run, especially because there's a limited amount of Bitcoin that ever will exist. Once that happens, I think that it'll just be a slow, steady ascent up. And, hey, maybe when we're in our 50s and 60s, Bitcoin's going to be worth like $1 million plus per pop, and you're going to regret not, putting your entire life earnings into it. So I can't predict. I'm not educated. I'm not smart enough to answer the question, but I have money in Bitcoin. And also I have no idea what a Bitcoin really is ultimately. So that's my answer on that one.
Right. That makes sense. I think that's well said. Asking about how do you balance your time between poker and emo trap? I mean, I hope that's not like a fair split, but how do you decide like, all right, I'm going to play 2 hours of poker right now, or I'm going to work on my music, or do you find a struggle there?
Something I don't have a struggle with that. Something I've done is just I'll set timers on games that I play. And, if I'll go to a live game, I'll be like, cool, I have 4 hours, I have 5 hours, whatever. And the timer hits. And unless the game's insanely good and I'm running really well, have a great image, whatever, I'll just go, and I don't feel attached to it. And the biggest thing for me in poker that I think, some of your viewers maybe, I don't know, could take advice of, could take inspiration from. That's the wrong word. I don't know. I can't find the word. Viewing poker as one long game, best thing ever. That's at different stakes, obviously, right? A 1-2 and a 2-5 are two different things, but it's like, right, viewing 1-2 or 1-3, or fucking 5-10 or fucking 100-200, viewing it as just one long game when you stand up from a winning or losing session really, really helps with not worrying about having to get up, right? I know a lot of people, this is one of my biggest leaks early on. I wouldn't stand up from sessions when I was losing because I wanted to chase losses. Literally one of the biggest fucking leaks that you can have. Yeah. Don't do that, So just don't do that, view it as one long game, and that'll really help your mentality. And the other thing, I guess, is just, not getting tilted when you get sucked out on. But balancing poker music, super easy. Just, I do both. That's it, I've never had an issue with either.
Yeah, it's definitely that's a big skill set. What's your favorite non-aces hand? What's your like cracker hand? What do you love to do?
Dude, I saw this question. I was like, so, my jokey response is like 6-9 offsuit or whatever, right? My real response, I guess, would be, I really enjoy, so non-aces, is it non-aces or non-premium? Because like, if it's not aces, it's kings, right? Like, what do we?
Yeah, but actually, there was a nice wording. I saw one hand, and then I asked. There was another hand. Here it is. What's your favorite non-premium? There's one favorite, so that's a good way of asking. I actually haven't heard Bon Ross ask that, so I like that wording.
That's good. I definitely would say, so the joke answer is 6-9. And then I'm gonna say premiums are like 8s and above, basically. I mean, maybe even 8s and 9s aren't premiums. I don't know, but in my book, they're premiums. Like they're good hands. You can play with well. I like obviously. It's a weird question. I guess just like suited aces, suited connectors, pocket pairs, just like your normal range. They're all the same to me. It's just like anything where you can
make the nuts, right? Like that's how you make money at low stakes is you play pretty nitty. You get into pots cheaply. If you have weak hands, and then you just make sure that you extract value with your value hands.
Right.
And then any hands that can make the nuts are obviously going to be, good playable hands. And then just like knowing when to fold, knowing when to continue, not floating as often as you would be in a game with more competent players, not bluffing as much as you would be in a game with competent players. And kind of the hand almost doesn't matter. But I guess, yeah, joke answer is 6-9 offsuit for sure.
And what's the biggest? What's your favorite place to play and biggest pot you won live? Where do you like to play in Vegas or wherever you go when you play live?
Vegas, I just play the Bellagio. That's just like free drinks, water's free, whatever.
Nice atmosphere.
I mean, I don't drink actually, but I just like the atmosphere, especially when my opponents are drinking. I like the atmosphere of like this, standard poker room. It's relatively soft now that I'm, a little better than I was. Last time I was at the Bellagio, I won quite a bit over a course of like a week. So I'd say that's my favorite room, but basically all the poker rooms in Vegas are pretty good, especially like the big names. And then biggest pot I've ever won is I played like a $4,000 pot actually 2 days ago, playing dealer's choice after the game started getting, degenerate. And we were playing PLO 5, and I had a really, really strong hand all the way down, and my opponent called me all the way down, and I rivered the stone cold nuts and jammed. He called, and it was just like, cool, sweet, sick little double-arino there, So that was like a 4K, maybe like a 4.5K pot. And then last night, the opposite happened. I think that there's another question where someone's like, my biggest loss, I think last night I actually lost in basically the same game, 5-5 private game. I think I lost a total of 2,500, which was pretty painful. Didn't win it. 6 flips in a row, didn't win a single one. And then getting it all in pretty good, losing, right? Like not even flips, but where you have like 75% against 25, you have someone just, stuff like that. And I'm not upset about it at all. Like it's just, that's what poker is, so.
It really is a beautiful game, the combination of skill and luck, and that, it's just never over really. Like you just get people have outs, and it's just a very special game. Can people hear your music on Twitch without getting in trouble? This Twitch copyright thing's pretty annoying. So how does that work? Could I play your music?
Yes. Yeah, I think they can actually. I think I don't have DMCA on it, but I advocate if anyone listens to my music and streams it on Twitch to let me know if they get a DMCA strike, and then I just remove it. I go to the source, and I will remove it. But I don't think I've ever had a complaint. I think people listen to my music all the time on stream, and there's no issue as far as I'm aware. No one's ever come to me. Quite a few streamers. So
I'll have to do that. It's kind of sucks, right? Like how that is now, and you get worried about it. You have to be careful, and you could potentially get it all moved. It's kind of strange. I guess maybe for the industry though, that's just the right move overall. So people aren't.
I don't agree with it, but that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, it's just bizarre to me. But then again, I don't know. What are the meanings of your tattoos? How many tattoos do you have? I see here from K Wolf for asking.
I don't know how many tattoos I have at this point. Quite a few, but the meanings are none of my tattoos really have meanings besides my knuckle tattoos, which are it was the name of my first album, and that album did really well, and it's the reason I am where I am today. And so it's that album is me in a way, right? Where the lone wolf, as I said, Convolk basically. So that's the only tattoo with meaning, I'd say. Everything else is kind of just stuff I like, kind of decoration that I just personally enjoy. So that's it.
Very nice. Well, yeah, I think we are going to go ahead, and this is going to be, again, a giveaway. I'm going to go and we're going to give someone a $55 ticket. That's nice. 55 could spin it out in tournaments. That's a serious chunk here. And you guys can give my man right here a follow across the board. We got Convulk on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter. What do you prefer out of these like Twitter or Instagram? You're more active on.
I mean, I just prefer people to listen to my music. You don't got to follow me, but I hope that if you watch this and you haven't heard me, just go take a gander, take a listen, and if you don't like it, that's fine, and if you like it, that's fine too. That's great.
I just want people to listen always, obviously. But you know.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, Spotify. That's the cleanest. Like, what's the order? Like, that's the one. That's just like the easiest way.
Yeah, I say Spotify. I mean, you can just look me up on YouTube. Any streaming service you use, if you use Apple Music, that works too. You know, Tidal, whatever you may use.
Very cool. And any upcoming releases? I know you just had some stuff, right? You did just have some songs that came out.
Yeah, yeah. I dropped a really good song a few days ago. But I will be releasing an album relatively soon once I can just clear things up in my own life, hopefully within the month. So I guess keep an eye out for that.
What's your newest song?
Cinderella. It's actually to the right, the artist pick. Yeah. So Spotify fucked up and said that it was like old, and like listed it really, really low out of the dates that I've ever released music. And I was just like, okay, whatever. So you don't see it up front anymore. So I had to like manually put it there, but that is my newest song.
Interesting. Very cool. I gotta say, I actually have not listened to it yet. I will try that. I'll play some on my streams, and hopefully, as long as I can get a hold of you and say, hey, like, don't, I don't know how long I don't know how that works, but I'm willing to, I feel, I guess, confident. You have a way you've done that. You've actually had to like reach out, or you have a way to get a hold of them. They'll look at it.
At Twitch? Oh no, I just
like the DMCA thing.
Yeah. I don't think my music triggers the DMCA as far as I'm aware. Like a bunch of streamers have used it and nothing happens. So I just don't think it triggers it.
Very cool. All right. Well, we loaded this up. Is there anything else you got? I mean, we covered a lot, man. I learned a ton. This is fascinating. And I think, I hope you guys got your questions in. We're going to pick this draw. Is there anything else you want to mention? Any shout outs? Who got you in poker? What was his name again?
Who, sorry?
Who got you into poker for the first time?
Oh, the guy got me, my friend Elliot. Yeah. He got me into poker the first time I ever played. So yeah, shout out to him if he ever watches this. Cause again, he's super like anti watching stuff that I do just because it's weird because I'm his friend, if that makes sense, So like he doesn't listen to my music. Like he goes out of his way to not see interviews or, but hey, if someone clip it, send it to him, whatever.
I love it.
Yeah, man, honestly, just like, shout out to all my friends in poker, music, whatever, but shout out to you, dude. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I hope that one day I can be one of your sponsored pros. I can be good enough to not just punt off a whole bankroll every single 5 minutes. And, also, hope to see you, sometime maybe in Vegas. You can teach me how to not be awful at PLO and just how to river the nuts every time. That'd be super, super spectacular. But no, for real, man, thanks to you. And again, yeah, let me know when you're in like California or Vegas, get you a nice dinner on me or whatever you want.
That'd be awesome to hang out. And I want to definitely get a shirt. I'll send you something as well. And, so we got one more question here from my man, Ghost of M, lead moderator, the legend in the chat, asking, as a producer, have you worked with any young artists that he thinks could be the next Convulk, or just someone out there that's super talented right now? I'm sure there's a lot. I feel like there's any prodigies and stuff like poker just coming up there.
Everyone I work with is super talented, but I wouldn't say anyone's like the next. I feel like I'm kind of the next Convulk, right? Like I'm the only me there is. But no, there's a bunch of talented people I work with. I'd say one of the most talented dudes I've worked with is a producer named This Land Is, and he's like this, just an amazing, super nice guy, really, really talented. And then another guy, this guy, everyone should go check out his music, Eli the Kid. He's, this young man out of Florida, super sick, super great, musician. And I'd say that he's like kind of the opposite of me in the sense that he's just an acoustic guitar in himself for the vast majority of songs that he makes. So he's super great. Shout out to Eli the Kid, and yeah, I wouldn't say there's anyone else like me, but hey.
That's a great answer. I agree, right? You got to be your own, and there's a lot of talent, that's for sure. And everything. I think everyone's honing their craft and moving fast. The world's happening very quickly. All right, let's draw this. I loaded this up. I'm going to choose a winner. You tell me when for the $55 ticket.
All right, roll it.
Let's roll it. We got a nice amount of possibilities. I'm going to choose a winner. We're sure. $55 ticket coming up, courtesy of Convolk Party Poker, myself, and it's finished just like that. Look at this. Mick Marcy TV gets it done. Marcel, man, congrats. You got a $55 ticket. Looks like he's
he deserves it. Look at him. He's a poker player. He deserves it.
He's streaming, man. It looks like he's 25 years old, mainly stream MTTs.
Perfect.
I'm going to give him a follow as well on Twitch, and we'll have to check this out, man. I love it. This is what we're just talking about, right? There's There's
Bang.
people hungry. They're starting. You just never know. You know what's cool about poker too, or music? You can, at any moment, you're in control of something powerful, and there's got to be luck, but you could just bank a tournament for whatever. You could get a major hit. Like, you're just always like in the mix, right? Like it's you have an opportunity at any given time. Actually, he's won before. It looks like he's going to run it back. Some people are just lucky, you know.
So good.
That's very strong. So I love it, man. Thank you so much, Alex. Convolk. Follow him across the board. That's number 119 in the books from the podcast streets. And this will be on all the audio outlets. And we've got another podcast getting released on Friday. Some more scheduled next week. We'll keep it rolling, and we appreciate Convolk the time. And I'll see you soon, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Jeff. I'll see you soon.
All right, guys. It's in the books. Go check it out and get the giveaways that you know there is on the Twitter. There's a lot going on. We'll see you soon on stream. I think I'll be streaming a couple times this week, maybe on Sunday as well. And I'll check on you guys on Friday for the next podcast. That'll be number 120 with the man, the myth, Finks. So we'll put that out. See you guys soon.